Okay, we're going live. We should be live in a second.
Everything should be going from the streamer, shouldn't it? Go to the streamer.
Hi everyone, welcome to Engineering Awareness Night. My name is Brandon Saxton. I'm the president of POBots. So tonight we're going to have some really fun activities that you guys can follow along with at home. We're also going to be doing a shop tour. We're going to be showing you guys some footage from a competition we went to this past weekend. And we're also going to be doing a robot demo. We're going to be showing you guys what a robot can do in real time. Another thing, this is a live stream. So we're actually here. So if you guys have any questions for us while we're demonstrating, go into the description. There's a link there, and you guys submit questions. It's anonymous unless you want to mention your name, but you don't have to. So if you have questions, feel free to ask us. And all these materials that you'll need for these activities, you can find around your house. The list is on our website, POBots.com. It's right under the link that you found to get here. So I think that's it, and I'm going to let Leah introduce the first group.
Hi guys, my name is Leah Reed, and I'm the head of community service for the POBots, along with my assistant Ted Safal. First up, we are going to have cup stacking, as you see a little hint of over here. So welcome on, guys.
Hi, my name is Abigail, and I'm a senior, and I'm the vice president of POBots. Welcome to cup stacking.
Hi, my name is Santaj. I'm a sophomore and I'm a general member, and welcome to Cup Stacking.
Hi, my name is Ben. I'm a junior and I'm the head of analytics.
Just a reminder, if you have any questions, click the link in the description. Today we'll be using plastic cups in our demonstration. So if you have any cups around the house that you want to go grab, let's do that now.
We will first start by finding a flat surface such as a table or a hard floor, seeing how many cups we can place one on top of another.
Place the first cup upside down and then make sure it's flat, and make sure to put the second cup right side up, and then repeat until you get as high as you can.
Ben is going to keep doing that until he gets as tall as possible. As you can see, the stack is getting taller and taller, but it's a little wobbly. How many do you think he can do? We're at 7 now.
We got 7, guys.
We were able to get 7 cups by stacking them one on top of the other. Now let's try another method.
Using 5 upside down cups, place them in a line one next to another. Once you have that, let's place 3 more cups on top in the spaces.
You now have a stable stack of cups. The difference is between the two stacks is the size of the base or foundation. This can be demonstrated with your body too.
As you can see, Ben is almost done stacking the cups. Now let's demonstrate with our bodies.
Yeah.
Take a step back from the bench or from your table and lift up your left foot. A little wobbly, right? Now place down your foot, a lot more sturdy. You can see that with a larger base, you have a lot more balance. This is not only seen in our cups or in our bodies, but in skyscrapers and the Great Pyramids too.
Look at this huge stack of cups that we made over here.
How many cups can you build? This one is 9 cups tall and has 45 cups in it overall. Now
If you think that you could get higher than this, try.
Now let's try cleaning up our cups. Let's try not to make a mess.
We had so much fun cup stacking with you. Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Hey guys, wasn't that a great demonstration by cup stacking? It was really cool seeing how they were able to get it so tall by widening the base. Next up on the list, we have a very exciting activity, penny bridges, where we will be showing you guys the physics of bridges.
Hi guys, my name is Evan Bruno. I am a junior and I am both treasurer and head of mechanical for the POBots.
Hi, I'm Binti, and I'm a general member, and I'm in 9th grade.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm a general member, and I'm a junior, and welcome to Penny Bridges.
So, penny bridges, we have a few bridge designs here that we already made in advance. These are a few bridges that we came up with ourselves, but you can come up with any on your own. The things that we used to make these bridges were index cards, as shown here.
We have cool colored ones. We also use pennies, which is obviously used to stack on top.
We also have two stacks of books that are of equal height to be able to have an even surface for our bridge.
And they are placed they are placed parallel to each other, which means that they're not touching at any point.
So, as we said earlier, we have a few different bridges that we made in advance. Using your index cards that we're going to give you a few seconds in a minute to get on your own, we are going to be folding them into different shapes to be able to try and see how many can they hold. Now, while you guys at home can go and get your index cards, we're going to use a regular index card and see how many pennies a regular index card could hold.
We're going to place it right on top of our two blocks of books.
So let's start.
So 1 penny and it's holding still.
2, 3, 4, 5,
5 pennies is still holding strong.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Some of you, if you look closely, might notice that it's
10.
starting to bend a little bit. That's because the weight of the pennies is
11.
pulling down on the index card.
12,
And make sure to let us know if you have any questions by clicking the link in the description.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,
A whole 20 pennies on one index card.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26,
Spending even more now.
27, 28, 29, and they're falling.
So it's starting to become a little harder to stack them because we have so many pennies on one index card.
Oh no!
So this is a lot of pennies that it's able to hold. There we go.
Fell.
So let's see, how many pennies were we able to hold? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 30, 39 pennies,
Wow.
almost 40 pennies on one regular index card without any folds.
So now let's move them out of the way and place our two stacks of books parallel to each other so you can try our next design. So the next design that we're going to be using is a curved design. And to make this design, what you have to do is take one of your index cards and fold it, roll it over itself as many times as you would like, and then that will create the fold design. So
And we're gonna see how many this can hold.
yes, and we're gonna see if it can hold more or less pennies than the original control that we used.
So here's 1 penny. 1, 2, 3, 4. It slipped a bit.
Oh no, it's almost falling.
5, 6 pennies. So it was able to hold much less than our original index card. And the reason because of that is it has curved edges on it, causing it to fall when weight is applied at the center.
It couldn't latch on to anything on the textbook, so therefore it couldn't say.
Next, we're going to try a wavy design. The way that you make this one is if you take your index card and fold it forwards, then backwards, forwards again, and then once more backwards. And that'll get you a wave design. So we're going to test this one now.
Oh.
So, 1 penny, it was only able to hold 1.
It
That's a
fell
very low
very
amount.
quickly.
And the reason that happened is because as soon as the penny hit the surface here, this side slipped under, causing it to fall. The penny was able to pull down on here and use some leverage there to be able to pull it down and into the in-between space of the books.
Next, we're going to be making this one. To do this, you first take one index card and fold it like so. Then again, you're going to fold it again on each side. Now we're going to start doing the bridge.
Six pennies already.
Oh.
9 pennies. It was able to hold 9 pennies total. So this one, the reason why it held more than most of the other folded cards is because it had these 2 flaps here, allowing it to latch on to the 2 textbooks when it was having all the pennies applied on it. We have one final design here that we're going to test, which is a sort of paper airplane-esque design.
In a triangle shape. So in order to make this shape, what we did is we folded the 2 corners in like this on each side to make a sort of halfway paper airplane triangle design. So we place it in between the books and then place some pennies on top. You can see it
and
fell
1
almost
penny.
immediately. And that's because, as you can see,
It's not stable.
it's not stable. It's angled almost. So as soon as we placed a penny on top, it just fell down because it had no stability.
And with that, that has been Penny Bridges. We hope you enjoy and are looking forward to our next activity.
There is a question, and the question is, what are the big lines on the bridges for?
Do you mean these lines on the bridges? If so, these are just on the index card already because that's how they were printed. They have no intention. If you mean the folded lines, however, the folds are to be able to attempt to make the index card hold more pennies. When we were
they
doing
mean like on suspension bridges.
So on suspension bridges, I'm going to use this bridge as an example. They'll have indents in the shape of a triangle. The reason they have that is because a triangle is one of the strongest shapes out there, as it is supported on all 3 edges. And they use bars to be able to create triangular bits that'll hold up the bridge stronger than if it didn't have them. Any other questions?
Nope.
Alright, so with that, this has been Penny Bridges. We hope you enjoyed and are looking forward to your next activity, which I believe is Shoots and Ramps.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Penny Bridges. They did a great job, and it was great to hear about how it applies to the real world around us. Next up, as Evan said, we have Shoots and Ramps, where they are going to explain to you the physics behind ramps using simple water bottles and paper towel rolls. Come on in, guys.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason. I'm a senior and I am the head of programming.
I'm Charlie. I'm a sophomore and I'm a general member.
Hi, I'm Bennett. I'm a freshman and I'm a general member.
I am Enoch. I am a freshman and a general member of this club.
Okay, so the materials you're gonna need for this is 2 empty water bottles without the cap, a pair of scissors, empty paper towel roll or toilet paper, doesn't matter, marbles, some books or textbooks, and some tape. We need to cut the bottom of the water bottles.
Wait, please be careful when cutting the water bottles because it can be dangerous, and have your parents and guardians to help you. Be careful of the sharp edges. Of the plastic water bottle. It can be a little hard. Okay, and then we can take off the labels. of the water bottles.
Now we're gonna tape the water bottles together. You put them in like this. Get a piece of tape. And then you wrap the tape around. Again, be careful of the sharp edges.
Now let's make the second ramp. First, cut the paper towel roll in half. It should look like this.
Now we are going to start stacking the textbooks up. Place the paper towel on the textbook, and you can use something to block.
To block the marble coming out. In our case, we're gonna be using our hand. You can also use like a paper towel roll like this, cup, a yogurt cup. Just we're using our hand in our case. And then we're also gonna grab another ball.
And make sure to watch it. Watch how fast it goes.
I think both of the balls went at the same speed.
And then I think that the balls. I also think that the balls went at the same speed because the ball is subjected to gravity, and which pulls all objects down. For example, these two balls right here, if you drop them together, they're gonna fall at the same exact time.
Now let's make the ramp higher. Let's see if that has any effect. We'll put we have our ramp. Here, let's start with the marble first. The marble went down pretty fast. Now let's try our bouncy ball.
Well, it doesn't look like it fits. Anyway, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that when it goes at a higher height, like this, so when it goes at a higher height, it goes at a at a faster speed, because based on this diagram, right? So gravity always is pulling down, and then gravity is always pulling down, and then this other force is perpendicular to this ramp, right? So then there's also this other force that is parallel to the ramp that goes that way. So as the ramp increases, the more closer it gets to the gravity going down is greater. It's less. So then that increases the speed in which it will go. And that's it. We're done.
There is a question for you guys.
Okay.
Why does the paper fall slower than a marble if the weight doesn't matter?
Everybody's letting a bouncy ball fall. Why does they fall at the same speed despite this one obviously being heavier than this one?
Because gravity doesn't take in consideration of weight. So remember the astronauts going to the moon, they dropped two objects, a hammer and a feather in space. They fell at the same exact rate, and mass is not in consideration of that. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Shoots and Ramps. You guys did a great job. Now, next up, we have paper building blocks, where they are going to show you how mere paper triangles can be much stronger than they first seem. Come on in, guys.
Hey guys, I'm Arav and I'm a sophomore and I'm also the head of electrical.
Hi guys, I'm Parshwa and I'm a freshman and I'm a general member.
For today, we are going to need scissors, a ruler, and a piece of paper. And make sure you have an adult with you while cutting the paper. To start off, grab a piece of paper and hold it, place it like this. Make 3 1-inch marks using your ruler, setting it like so, and making marks at the 1-inch, 2-inch, and 3-inch mark.
You're going to do this on both sides.
You're going to match this on the other end as well. Make sure that you put it on both sides. After you finish making your lines, make sure that you connect them using your ruler so they're nice and straight. While we talk about this, let's discuss why triangles are such a strong shape. Triangles are very strong and they're able to support weights much larger than you think. This is because of their structural integrity, which means that they could hold a lot.
They have a very strong base and they also have strong support, which allows them to hold heavier weights.
Once you finish drawing your lines, make sure you cut on the 3rd line, all the way at the bottom. While he does that, we can also talk about what you're going to be making. With this piece of paper, the next step is to put the ruler vertically up against it like this and draw 3 marks, each an inch apart. Once you make them, they should look like this. 3 distinguished marks. And then you're going to connect them using your ruler. Triangles like this are not only seen on paper, but in architecture or making things in real life. They're very important to use when you're building buildings or anything that needs to hold a lot of weight. You could see them when they're skyscrapers, anything that needs to hold that weight.
They're even used in bridges and stuff like that.
Next step is to cut this out. Once you have your piece of paper, make sure to fold across your 3 lines and to make it in a triangle shape. One fold like so, the other one the same way but down. And you should end up with a shape looking like this.
And then once you have it, just tape the edges together to make it into triangle shape. It should look something like this.
As you can see over here on the side, we have a whole pile that has these triangles laid out. We could start by adding a ruler, which is much heavier than these small little triangles. As you can see, it can hold the weight perfectly. It doesn't falter and it doesn't fall. Next, we could add the scissors, which are also much heavier than the paper. And look, it could hold that too. And just for kicks, let's add some pencils. And to see how far this could really go, we're going to use this heavy tape dispenser. And look, it doesn't work. Although it could be a very strong object, it does have its limits like everything. So as much as the triangle could be a very strong object, it does falter under some weights. The reason behind this is because, as we discussed before, triangles are very structurally sound. They can hold and distribute weight very easily. That's all. Are there any questions?
Is anything actually built like that?
Yes. If you are in the city, you could see there are many buildings shaped like triangles. The reason for this is that it could hold the weight of the people, everything else in the building, and that makes sure that there's no stability issues. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, paper building blocks. That was really interesting to hear, especially those real-world applications. Which thank you to the person who sent in that question. Remember, guys, we have a form and description for any questions you may have. We are happy to answer. Next up, we have a bit of a demonstration, though. If you have the materials, feel free to follow along at home. Welcome in our crew from Squishy Circuits, who are going to teach you guys about electricity.
Hello guys, my name is Natalia and I am a head programmer.
I'm Sage, I'm also a head programmer here.
Hi, my name's Kevin and I'm a general member.
So we're going to be teaching you squishy circuits today. So firstly, when you're doing this experiment, be careful. You are working with batteries, which have electricity, so everyone should stay safe.
So the materials you need for this experiment are squishy dough or Play-Doh, a 9-volt battery, wires, and an LED light with different ends, a short and a long end. So for the squishy dough, you will be using 2 different pieces separate from each other. If the doughs touch, then it won't light up.
So one piece separate from the other.
We want to attach each wire on the battery, these, to a different end with different charges.
One black, one red. One negative and one positive.
So once you connect them to the Play-Doh, you want to attach your LED light, one with a short end and one with a long end. Switch the ends up if they don't light up. So if they don't light up, the reason
That
for
light.
it, okay.
Sorry about that. So one of our lights went bad. So you could see that one a bit better probably.
If they don't light up, the reason for this is polarity. Polarity discusses the direction of the electric current, and it moves from a positive to a negative charge.
So
The reason that our squishy circuits work is because of chemistry. So in Play-Doh, there's salt. And Play-Doh is able to act as a fluid, and that salt is able to turn into ions, which have themselves a positive and a negative charge. And so those ions are able to have electrons that conduct the electricity through the Play-Doh and into the light. This is also why our Play-Doh can't touch. See, if we touch our Play-Doh, our light goes out. The reason that the light goes out is because electricity always takes the path of least resistance. That means that it goes wherever it's easiest. So it's easier for the electricity to go through the Play-Doh than it is to go through the light, and therefore when you touch them together, it goes straight through the Play-Doh and doesn't go through the light, causing the light to light up. So in real life, we also have uses for this. All circuits in real life work the same as this does, whether it's the lights in your house or how you charge your phone. Matt?
Speaking of real-world applications, there are different types of circuits as well. So imagine you have a Christmas tree, and you decorate it with a strand of lights. If one of those light bulb breaks, usually the entire thing wouldn't work. This is because if the the circuit breaks once one of the lights break, and electricity can't flow if
there's one light out, because the electricity will stop conducting at that point.
That's because there's only one path for the electrical current to travel through.
However, there is also a second circuit called parallel, which gets its name from looking like they are parallel to each other. If we add another LED, it is going to light up. This is a bad one.
No, yeah, we've had a lot of LEDs that went bad. Sorry for the delay. Okay, so.
But, so they both light up. If we remove one of them, the other one should still light up because it has a path to flow through as well. Parallel circuits work by, so they distribute the electricity through the circuit by flowing through both of them.
So as compared to a series, this travels through multiple paths, and you could see how the light is a bit dimmer. This is because the more you add, the more the electricity is divided among the LEDs. So if we continue to add more LEDs, it's going to go progressively and progressively dimmer. So
this also applies to the robots that we build in our club. The way that we always build our circuits in a way that it will work whenever possible, and it will ideally always work, even if something goes wrong. So while we can't always do that, we try and build our circuits however we can to work, even if something goes wrong. So Kevin, here.
all right. So are there any questions?
What happens if you use multiple batteries?
So it depends on the type of circuit we would have used.
So here, we can show you we've got 2 batteries.
If we use multiple, generally the light bulbs, the LEDs would get brighter if we add more, but it depends on the type of circuit. So as you can see right now, they didn't really light up that much, but if I remove one of them, you can see that they're getting, well, they should be getting brighter.
Yeah, this one was a better light.
Yeah, so because there is more voltage, it should be able to be brighter.
Are there any other questions, Amy?
Why are there different colored wires?
So the different colored wires signal the positive and the negative. Like we have the two separate charges coming from the battery into the Play-Doh. The red and the black always signal two separate charges. So that way we can always tell, like if we're trying, we always want to connect it in a way that the electricity will flow the correct direction. So we always need to know which way is positive and negative. Anything else? Okay, great.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Alright, so we talked a little about electrical with our squishy circuits. We also talked a little about structural integrity of cups. We used paper to show how strong triangles can be. What else did we do today?
We've done a lot so far. A lot of the physics that we talked about today directly come into play when we're building our robot, which we will get to talk to you guys about later. It has been great to see your questions coming in through the form, so keep on sending those in. Next up, we have a shop tour and a short break.
Yeah, so we're going to be we have a video set up where we're going to be showing you guys the shop, what we do here, the machines we use, and all that. And I didn't put this in the form because this was a last minute thing we decided to add. We went to a practice competition this past weekend. So we have some footage from that so you guys can see what it's like when we go to a competition, a robot operating, and what that environment's like. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, when we come back to you, we will actually be moved out of our shop and into the school's gym. So we can show you some activities like paper airplanes, straw rockets, but also our actual robot and FLL robots, which I'll talk about a little bit more once we're in the gym. Thank you guys so much, and if you have any demonstrations that you've been doing at home, send us pictures on social media. We'd love to take a look. Thank you guys, and enjoy our shop tour. We're having a couple of technical difficulties getting up that shop tour, but it'll be up soon, I promise you guys. In the meantime, a little bit of POBots trivia. Does anybody happen to know when the POBots were founded? If you know, submit the answer to our question form, and I'll come back with the answer to that question later. Here, I'll
and we have our big screen up here where we do a lot of lessons. Today our lesson was on electrical, and they're talking about our batteries and what we use to power our robot. So we're going to head back this way. So back here is our shop. This is where we build our robots. We use a lot of machines such as the bandsaw. We got 2 of those over here. And then back over here, we have a drill press. We have another one in the back corner. Over here, we have Oscar and Mr. Wildbacker, one of our instructors. And this is our table saw. Over here, we have a big bandsaw used for metal.
He knows the size.
I don't think they have 20. And back here, we have our sanders, another drill press, and our milling machine. So over here, electrical is working on a practice chassis, and they're learning about how the robot works in terms of the electrical side of things. So if everybody can just wave hi. Hello.
Hello.
So every day we have, leading up to the season, we have school of engineerings, which teams get to learn how our robot works and how to build a robot, and they get to learn from all the different angles of the robot, such as programming the robot, building the robot, electrical, like wiring the robot. So we get to learn all aspects of the robot. Let's come over here. So these are our lathes. We also have a big one over there, and those allow us to make circular objects, so we use those a bunch. And then we're going to head this way. This is our CAD lab, where we CAD our robot. We design it before we build it, and we can test everything, so we can make sure that the robot's strong enough to hold all the parts and the stress that it'll be under during a competition. So that's why we have a lot more computers in this room. Hey everyone, I'm the president of POBots, Brandon Saxton. This is Marlon, and welcome to our shop.
Hey guys! No, welcome back. As you can see, we are now in the gym. So some of you did submit answers to our POBots trivia. The answer was 1999. Good on you if you got that right. I hope you enjoyed our shop tour. If you have any questions on that, you can also send them in. But we will be talking about what we do in the shop when we do our robot demo later on tonight. But for now, let's welcome Paper Airplanes.
Thank you for that. My name is Ian Chinsky. I'm in 10th grade and I am head of PIT.
My name's Ivan Wu. I'm a 10th grader and I'm a general member.
My name is Adam Greenberg. I'm in 10th grade and I'm also a general member.
Today we're going to be teaching you how to make paper airplanes and how they work. They work using the 4 fundamental forces of flight.
The first property is weight. Weight is the force of gravity pulling on objects towards the ground.
Another property is lift, which is the opposite force of gravity created by a change of direction of the air. We create lift by adding the wings on a plane. Without the wings, the plane would not be able to stay in the air.
The third fundamental force is drag. The drag is the force of the air pushing back on the airplanes. To counteract this, we use the fourth force. This is thrust. In a traditional airplane, we would use an engine, but here the thrust is the force of our hand throwing the robot. Now let's throw some airplanes.
Okay, so the first plane we're going to be throwing is the Classic. My plane didn't go that far because it has really wide wings here, which create too much lift and a lot of drag for the plane.
The next plane is called the Dart. With its smaller wings, it will create less drag, causing it to go faster. During its flight, it went upside down because it did not generate enough lift due to its small wings.
The third plane is called the Trick plane. Its special feature is that it's both smaller and it has little fins on the side, which we will show you later. As you can see, it did not go very far because the fins were slightly uneven. This causes the weight to be very off on both sides, which can cause it to do the corkscrews that you just saw. The third plane is called the glider. This plane is much smaller and it has the center of gravity in the center, which should cause it to fly farther.
Can we put on like a sorry for technical difficulties? There's currently no audio coming. Can we move this closer?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright. The first step is folding the paper in half. We want to fold it like this. It should leave a crease when you unfold it. Next, we want to take the top corner and fold it and use the crease as a guideline. It should go about halfway across, like this. Next, we want to do the exact same thing with the other side. You should have 2 corners. Next, we want to take one of the sides and fold it to the guideline. It should end up looking like this. We want to do the exact same thing with the other side.
Hey guys, we have a question from the forum. Why the bigger wings, the shorter it goes?
Because it created too much drag. There was too much lift, which didn't let the airplane go as far as we wanted to.
With bigger wings, it creates more drag because as the air hits the wing, it slows it down.
Also, the increased lift of this plane may
have a plane that looks like this, we want to fold it in half. So you cannot see your folds anymore. It should look something like this. Next, we want to take one half of the plane and fold it inwards to create a wing. I'll do the other side for you. And now you have your completed dart.
Just like before, this one, because of its small shape, and that will come to a point at the end. This one goes very fast, but it also has generally big wings, which is able to increase the lift of the plane. This is why this plane goes the farthest. We can show you again.
So the dart is the best combination between drag and lift, as you can see with its increased distance. But it also has one of the shortest flight times due to its speed.
Now, with better understanding of forces of light, you can better create paper airplanes of your own. Try experimenting with different styles and different flaps.
Hey everyone, we're sorry about that technical difficulty. Our streamer cut out and that's why that happened, but we're back. And we're going to be doing our next activity that I'm a part of. We also have our other members over here, so you guys can come on in. So we're going to be doing straw rockets. This is one of my favorite activities, so I'm excited that I got to do this one this year. So what we're going to be doing is all you guys need: paper, some scissors, some straws, and some tape. And that is it. So, what you guys are going to want to do is take your piece of paper and fold it in half. And then again, fold it along. So now we should have 4 boxes here. So now you guys are gonna want to cut along these lines. So now you should have 4 small pieces of paper that you guys can use for your rockets. So each of us are going to take a straw. So what you guys are going to want to do with your paper is roll it up. on it so that it stays nice and rolled up. Okay. So is everybody caught up? Okay. So now, what we're going to want to do is take one of your pieces of paper, and you're going to cut a little piece off of it. I will show you guys how to do that. So now you're going to have a little strip of paper like this. And now you're going to want to tape it to the top of your tube. So now, you should have a tube like this with a top on it like this. So, to test your rocket, you're going to take your straw and put your rocket on top. And then you can take the bottom and you blow into it and your rocket will go. So I'm going to go stand at least 6 feet away from these guys so that we can test our rockets. So I'll show you guys how that goes. I'm actually going to, forgot to say, you should tape the top piece so that it doesn't fall off the rest of the tube. There we go. Okay. So now I'm all set to test my rocket. So as you can see, my rocket went kind of far, not very, maybe a few feet. So now what we're going to do is the three of us are going to have a competition to see who can make our rocket go the farthest. So we're all going to try different designs, and you guys can play along at home and see who can go the farthest. So there's a bunch of different techniques you can use. You guys learned in paper airplanes about lift, so if that's what you're looking for, you can try that, or weight, or there's a million factors that you can play into it, so be creative, and we'll explain all of our ideas and see which one ends up working the best.
We actually have a question in from the chat.
Oh, we have a question. What's our question?
What do astronauts make real rockets out of?
So astronauts make real rockets out of metal, because metal is much stronger than paper, of course. And rockets, when they go through the atmosphere, they're under a lot of force, and because of gravity pulling back on it, and because when you leave the atmosphere, there's a lot of force there. But once you leave Earth, what's really nice about space is it's the nothingness. There's nothing there acting on it. But, like you guys know, if you take something, like if you take a empty water bottle, and you put it underneath water in the tub or something like that, it'll shoot back up because the water is trying to fill that space. And that's what happens in space. So there's a lot of pressure because the air is trying to get out and it's trying to push away the walls. So they have to use steel and a lot of metals to make sure that the rocket is strong so that everybody on board is safe, because if you go into space, there's no oxygen, and we need oxygen to live. So are you guys working on yours, and you guys can explain yours? Yours done?
Yep.
There you go.
So for mine, I just put little fins on the side in order to, make it more aerodynamic, as well as give it a little bit more weight, so it'll go a little bit further. straightest. It didn't go, it barely went further than the regular one, but it, you know, trial and error is what it's all about.
Okay, so actually, I'm gonna make one more change, and I'll explain why I'm gonna do that in a minute. Okay, so this is my design. Now what I've done is I added two wings that are a little bit bigger than his, because I'm hoping that they'll create more lift, or at least that's what I'm hoping. We'll see if that actually works the way I think it will. And then I made sure to tape all the corners on the top, so that when I shoot the air through the straw into the rocket, most of the air is using to push the rocket and not escape. So that's my theory, and let's go test to see if it works.
We actually have another question from the chat super quick.
Yeah, one more question.
Can you go over the materials again of what you're using to make the rockets?
Yes. Okay, so the materials we're using. So the materials are just some paper, some printer paper, tape, any kind of tape will do. But then there are certain things with certain tapes, because if you use duct tape, it's heavier than maybe Scotch tape, so maybe that's something to think about. And some scissors just to cut the paper and make our designs, and our straws, of course. So I'm gonna go test mine, and Cooper looks like he's finishing up his, so he'll be right after me. Okay, so mine didn't go very far. And I think the reason for that is because lift doesn't always keep things up. Anywhere where there's air, there's going to be drag. So, as you can, if I take this piece of paper and I try and push it this way, you can see that the air pushes it back that way. So, if these wings weren't perfectly straight, there's going to be some force pushing it backwards. So that may be why it didn't go as far. But I do think that closing the top allowed more air to push the rocket. So maybe that's why it went just about as far as the first one, because those two things, the negative and the positive, equaled out a little bit. So, Cooper, it's your turn.
So as you can see, I kind of was struggling a little bit, but I added maybe like a cone-shaped structure to the top to one. Yes, I may have added a little weight with all the tape and everything, but it creates more lift, and because it secured the hole at the top, it will make it so more air can go in, and let's give it a test. As you can see, that kind of failed. I think that was due to the weight of the excess paper and tape. So we don't really have anything that go farther, I guess.
Yeah, but if you guys think that you can go farther than us, we have an Instagram and a Twitter, and you guys can send us a video, and we'll try and reply to all of them. So if you guys think you can beat us, let us know.
We have one more question from the chat before you go.
All right, wait, one more question. What's the question?
How does the angle of the straw when blowing affect how far it goes?
Okay, so the angle of the straw actually does affect how far it goes more than you think it will. So what happens in the straw is the air has a speed in, right? But then it hits the corner. And that corner is going to slow it down a little bit. So by the time it goes up this way, it's already lost some of the speed. So no matter how hard you blow into it, it can only go so fast. So maybe if we tried straightening out the stroke, blowing it straight, maybe it would have gone farther. So if you guys want to try that as your strategy to try and beat us, feel free. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. We have a really cool demo coming up for FLL, which is First Lego League. There's the team from the middle school. They do what's called FLL, so they'll explain that. So if you guys aren't in middle school yet, you can look forward to that. But if you're in middle school and you already do FLL, we'll show you after that our robot. So I'm going to pass this off.
Awesome. Well, they clean up and set up behind me. I'm just going to give us a little introduction. I am part of the team alongside those two fine men behind me that are setting up that are going to be demonstrating some FLL or First Lego League robotics. First is, you can kind of think of First as the MLB and each thing like the teams as teams. So First is a big organization and we are a team within First. On the high school level, which we will be showing you later, we work with Steel, and it is called FRC. On the middle school level, though, we work with Legos, hence FLL, First Lego Robotics. First Lego League Robotics, sorry. With that, I believe we have the first bit set up. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yes. Hello. My name is Parker Robinson. I'm a junior. And I'm the head of mechanical for the POBots.
And hello, my name is Paul Kamath. I'm a sophomore. I'm the head of community service and awards here at the POBots. And I actually did FLL for 5 years before this. So you're going to see some robot demonstrations that are pretty cool.
I was also in FLL for 2 years, and then this is my 3rd year volunteering, helping younger FLL teams as well.
I was in it for 4 years, and I like to help out the other teams as well, especially our middle school teams in both POB and Atlanta. So for today, we have our robot, the janitor, a very lovely by Reed over here. And we are going to be showing you how to follow lines using this little device here called a color sensor, which will sense the black line around on this paper and it will follow it.
So to create this little board we have over here, we just used a large piece of paper and electrical tape. But in actual FLL robotics, you would have a very nice mat on a very nice wooden table, where you would be completing different missions, essentially tasks with your robot, and then compete in the winter. But for now, let's show you what our robot can do when it comes to following a line.
So this is going to use the color sensor, which we explained earlier. It detects color, and it's basically going to follow the line right between the black and the white.
Okay, let's try. So, as you can see, as it goes along, it is wiggling a little bit. That is because we have the code, so if it senses black, it will turn in one direction, and if it doesn't sense black, it will turn in the other direction until it finds black again. This is why you see it wiggling. It is going off the black and then re-finding it and following along that way.
So if you saw there, it did kind of veer off and it almost like fell off. That is mainly because the mat here is very it's literally a piece of paper that's like almost crumpled up to be exact. And also because the lighting in the environment, it can be affecting the color sensor sometimes because the robot casts a shadow on the ground. So the color sensor may not be 100% accurate, which is why why when you're working with it, you need to try to overcome those challenges.
Yes, so as you saw, we had our robot that followed the line for 11 and a half seconds, I believe, and it was able to get all the way around to here. But that's not the only program we have set up for it. So if you guys want to show the next program where I get our other piece of paper set up.
Thank you. Next program, showing just the robot. We'll be moving it in specific patterns. We'll be creating a list of shapes that we have coded into it. This will not be using the color sensor because we don't have it to follow. So it will just be running off the code that it has to create these shapes. So if Safali, you want to play it now. So as you can see, we're just having go and create, I think, the
This is a hexagon.
hexagon. I didn't know what it was.
No, as you can see, they did not set it up well enough. Good job, guys.
He set it up.
I believe now we are starting on our triangle.
So if you can see, it's going like here, doing a triangle like this.
And it will begin its last shape now, which is a square. So it'll move in this, and then that, and then it'll close off there.
And then finally, to end things off, it'll go forward for a little bit and spin in a circle. And come back to us.
So that was just a little demonstration of movement and how to turn the robot and what it looks like when it is turning without the help of the color sensor.
So this next program, what we are going to show you is just how well this color sensor can work. So I have some code written that the robot will essentially squiggle forward for a little bit and then go backwards. And once it hits black, it will stop going backwards. So first we're going to show without any black, and we're going to have to catch the robot because it's not going to sense black, so it will not stop at the end.
So right now it's just doing its squiggles, trying to sense black. And it didn't stop because, as Leah said before, it didn't sense any black, so it continued the program until it would sense it. And because it didn't, well, it would keep going on until it obviously reached some force to stop it.
Yeah, so what you saw right there is we pressed the stop button there to make sure that it did not crash off the table, because otherwise it would keep going until it did that.
That would be bad.
Now let's play it again. Over here you can see we have a black line. So it should, once it reaches the black, stop going backwards so we don't need to catch it. So, now how I program these squiggles is we, as you can see, have two sides with wheels. So when I wanted it to turn, I made it so that was human error, not robot error.
It did still stop when it sensed
Yes.
color, though.
That is true. I am going to line it up one more time over here. And I'm going to put a line of black electrical tape across here so you will see where it stops. Want to explain turning while I do so?
Sure. Someone grab the tape. So while Leah sets up the black electrical tape, in the code there are a certain set of blocks that we have when programming that when there is a change in the power of the wheels, you can cause one wheel to turn more than others. If you were to have them equal to each other when coding, then obviously they would just go straight. If you set them differently, then you can get them to turn at different angles or degrees. This is basics of how turning works with tank drive like this one.
for robots like these. I think you want to explain more?
Yep, so a little bit more to elaborate on turning. If I were to turn the robot right here, so as you can see, if I'm turning it here to the left, these left wheels are going to be moving forward and the right wheels should be moving backwards. Right now I'm on a little weird of a surface, so it may not look exactly like that, but it is doing that.
In fact, we can even demonstrate that if we want to do this. So we can show you that the robot can turn by only activating one. If we activate both, then it will, wrong ones, it can drive forward or it will drive back.
But with that, as you can see, I put a black line at the bottom of our page. So I'm going to ask Parker to set the robot up over here. It will do its squiggles forward. And then when it goes backwards, it should stop at the black line, this time without tripping on the paper. If you guys are in middle school at home, we actually have 4 great middle school teams throughout the district. As you see, it stopped at that ending black line. But we actually have 4 great teams in our middle schools, 2 at POB and 2 at Matlin, and they are always looking for new recruits. As you can see from us, many people in high school robotics start out in middle school robotics. And I can say middle school robotics was something that really changed the course of my life. I would have never gotten involved in this club probably if I was not in FLL. And FLL and POBots is where I met the majority of my closest friends nowadays. Before FLL, I was not friends with either of these people, but now they're some of my best friends, along with many others that you've seen either in front of or behind the camera today.
Similar to what Leah said, FLL also changed my life. A little bit earlier than Leah's, I joined in my 5th grade year, and my brother actually helped start the POB FLL club there with the help of one teacher and a couple of his friends. He convinced me to join one day in a car, and I said, why not? And it's where I met most of my now friends, as Leah said, and it changed my life. It gave me an interest in robotics and engineering, which I continue to follow to this day, and will hopefully follow into the future.
But if I could just steal it for 1 second and then give it to you. Another great thing is that in first you build skills that you use throughout the rest of your life, not just in robotics. We'll get to it a little bit later, but first is more than robotics. It's also research and planning, things that are very important even if you don't plan on going into robotics. Now I will give this back to Safal.
Yeah, so I joined first in 4th grade. It was a really big turning point in my life. I didn't really have any major hobbies until I realized, oh wow, I really like this. I would actually be willing to go after school on the weekends, spend my free time. I really enjoyed it, and as Leah said, it has tons of real life applications, not only just with like working with the robot, programming, building, but also just working with the team. That's like one of the most important things, because you have different people doing different parts, working on different parts of the robot, which actually you're going to see a little bit later with our real robot, Marlin. Yeah. So anything else?
As I mentioned briefly, I do want to talk about the research side of FLL for a quick second. FLL, obviously robot, you are here building things like this, which this was actually built by Cameron, his brother, back when he was in FLL, and he graciously let us borrow it for this demonstration. So this is the example of a kind of robot that you may build. But aside from that, there are also core values and the research project. As I said before, FIRST is more than robots. And where I got my start was not on the robotic side of things at all, but in research. Research is a great opportunity, and it's helped me become a stronger writer and, as you may expect, a stronger researcher, which helps you in a lot of your classes in middle school and high school. you get to learn about interesting things that you maybe would have never researched before. For example, my first year, the theme was water, essentially. And I learned a lot about waterborne diseases and other things that I never would have researched on my own.
To the other side, there is the core values aspect of first LEGO League. The core values embody the main principles that FLL wants to give to kids like you. They teach discovery, innovation, impact, teamwork, cooperation, gracious professionalism, and most importantly, I think, fun.
So, without further ado, that is all we have to present for FLL, and now you guys are going to see our real robot, Marlin, which is 120 pounds. It is a huge robot made of metal, and yep, I'm just going to leave the rest to the drive team, and this is your size comparison, by the way. So, yep, here is the drive team.
Yeah, so we are going to be moving over here while they move that out of the way. I actually happen to be part of Drive Team. I work as the human player. I am one of the people who works on the electronics of the robot while we are building it during build season. Our other members on Drive Team are Evan Bruno, our technician, head of mechanical. Mitchell Myers, our driver, who is our VP of build. Brandon Saxton, as you've seen before, our lovely president. And Natalia Sokolov, one of our heads of programming, who acts as our operator. Brandon, you want to take the mic?
Sure. Okay, so big anticipation. This is our robot, Marlin. We've been dying to show you guys our robot. So we're going to do a demo for you guys. We're going to show you what our robot can do. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how do you even begin coming up with something like this? How do you even begin building something like this? And so let's get going. So we each have our own roles, like Leah was talking about before. So we have our driver and our operator. So what do? Well, our driver, Mitchell, he's in control of the robot's 6 wheels pretty much. That's pretty much his job. He positions the robot on the field when we're competing. And then Natalia does the rest. So if we need to shoot a ball from here, we'll explain everything our robot does later, but if we need to shoot a ball, if we need to pick up a ball, if we need to use our climber, we'll explain what that means in a minute. But if we need to do anything, any operations, that's Natalia. And then, to bring our robot out and make sure everything is operational, we have Evan as technician. And human player is Leah, so during the match, the robots actually get to interact with people, which is really cool. So sometimes there won't be enough balls in the field, and we need more because maybe we have to shoot more or we want to get more points. So Leah can actually give the robot and feed balls to the robot, which is kind of cool. So let's start driving the robot around. Let's shoot around a little bit. Leah, do you want to go catch on the other side? Okay, guys, so yeah, you guys are good. Okay. So are you guys ready to shoot? Yep. Back up a little. Okay, so now the robot's gonna shoot. Yeah, go ahead. 3, 2, 1, and go. So, as you can see, the robot can actually shoot really far. And not only can it just shoot, it also, during the match, it would be kind of lame, right, if we just shot and we did nothing after that. So the robot also has to pick up and reload its cargo bay. So we're going to show you guys that in a minute. So Mitchell is now controlling where the robot is. So he's driving around. So now he's going to go pick up a ball. So we're gonna move the balls a little bit so that you guys can better see. There you go. Now we have three walls and a robot. Three walls in the robot. Now we can shoot again. Okay. So a robot can also do more things than that. So we're going to go into a little bit about the design process and show you guys what those things are and how we came up with what you see in front of us now. So we're going to start with Evan, who helped CAD the robot. He'll explain what CAD means and what CAD is and why we do it.
Alright, so to start off the first thing, what Brandon said over here was CAD. CAD stands for computer aided design. What we do is we create robot digitally on computers and software called automatic code. And what we do is create all these parts that we see before you so that mechanical knows how to make them when they need to make them. We give them what we call a drawing, which is a schematic of how to make the actual parts. And once the mechanical has that, they're able to machine them, which is what we call switches. So one thing.
Okay, hi guys. So, like Evan said, in CAD, they build every single part of this robot virtually. This makes it very easy to actually create these parts physically, because we could just take those virtual parts and put them onto the machine, and we know the exact dimensions of everything we need to make. So this whole robot looks pretty complicated. It's just a lot of parts coming together, but obviously we don't build it all as one. We go piece by piece, and that's why CAD is so important, and from CAD bringing it to the rest of mechanical to physically machine these parts. What we do is we take the drawings from CAD, and then they'll give us the exact dimensions of hole sizes, what metal, what the shape we want, and what it's going to be used for, so we kind of better understand while we build the part how it's going to be used for the bigger part of the robot. So going from that, once we have each part, then we kind of build them together and assemble the robot. It's important to kind of understand what we want, what the function needs to be. And I will give to Brandon a little bit of how the robot functions and kind of how we complete the task.
So, one thing that I want to talk about a little bit is how CAD and mechanical kind of work together. So, as you guys can see, this piece here holds up. Well, there's another one on the other side. Those pieces hold up this entire frame here. And it sounds like a lot of weight, but it's not. So how do we know that that's going to be able to hold up all this weight? Well, we can use CAD to predict that. So we can tell in the software, we can say, these pieces weigh this much, and they're this big, and this is what's going to be holding it. And we can say, will it break? And it'll tell us how much force can be on here, will it break or not. And when we ran this through CAD, it said, these will hold. So we said that they will hold, and we built it this way. But other things our robot can do is it can actually climb. So during competition, one of the options we had to score points. So every year they give us the game, they explain what your robot can be able to do or what you can have it do. So one of the things was there's a big, looks like an upside down seesaw in the air, and it's a long bar that can tilt back and forth. And if our robot can hang in the air from that bar, we get a lot of points for that. So this hook here can actually hang this entire robot on a bar. And this robot is about 120 pounds. Now, how did we design that? Well, we figured that we were reading through the rules, and we said that there's a weight limit, or a height limit, sorry. So it cannot be above about this height. So how can we fit something that's going to have to go that high into such a small pattern? So what we built is what we call a multi-stage climber. Now what does that mean? It means that these are a bunch of little climbers inside of each other so that they can all extend out. So I'll show you guys how tall this thing can get so that we can climb. So Talia now is going to climb. So look how high that can get. So when it's up here, the robot will go up. This thing will go up, position ourselves over the bar, and then it'll come back down. And that'll pull the robot up, and it'll actually hang and suspend itself in the air, which I think is really cool.
As human player, one of my jobs, other than getting the balls to the robot, is talking with Brandon and helping us line up the climber. Our climber, once we move it up once, we need to reset it to do it again. So it's very important that we get it right the first try. So that's why communication within a drive team is very important.
So I think I mentioned this, but if I didn't, my position in drive team is coach. So that's really my job. My job is to tell these guys I'm looking for things that they might not be able to see. So I can say, oh, the robot might not be lined up, so you guys have to move over left a little bit. So that we can make sure that we don't waste time and that our climber climbs every time. And actually, at our practice competition this past weekend, we won several rounds just because of our communication being able to climb really well. So, some other parts of the robot, we have this one called the conveyor, because it looks like a conveyor belt. Pretty self-explanatory name. So these pads on here, these are actually the material that you walk on when you walk on a treadmill. So we took this material and we lined it around like a belt, and it can move. So can you guys move the conveyor belt, please? So that feeds the balls up to here, the shooter. So this shooter has two wheels here, and it's attached to this motor here. It spins these really, really fast. So when the ball comes up through this conveyor belt, it touches these wheels that spin really, really fast, and shoots the ball out. But, like we did before, we had to pick them up, right? So, that's what our intake is. So this intake, one of the rules is it has to start inside of what's called the frame perimeter, meaning that everything on a robot that we build has to be inside of these bumpers. So that's why our intake folds up like this. So when the match starts, if we drive forward a little bit, so the intake comes down. And we use gravity instead of having to put another motor on, so that we can keep our robot lighter, and it's also less pieces to the puzzle. It just makes it easier. We made sure that once we drive forward, this will come down, and now this little motor on this side spins this to bring these balls in. Now, you might be saying, these don't look like wheels. Well, these are special wheels. These are called Omni wheels. So what they do is they spin. Yep. You can turn it around so that I can see better. So these are Omni wheels. So they spin like this, like normal wheels do, but they also have these pieces on top that spin in circles. Now the reason we positioned them the way they did, or the way we did, is so that when a ball comes in, it'll spin against these as this is spinning. Sorry. And it'll actually pull, see if I put it here, it pulls the ball to the center, which is really nice so that it lines up in the conveyor a lot easier, and then when it comes up to the top, it's nice and centered, and it makes it easier for us to shoot and be more accurate. So now I'm going to pass this off to Leah, and she's going to talk about all of these wires in the back and what they're all.
Actually, how about we demonstrate the intake one more time first?
Okay, sure.
timing is very important when it comes to this.
Before we intake another wall, we have to make sure that this first wall isn't already at the top. Because as we are going to be taking in another wall, this wall is going to be going up as well. And it's going to be stuck in the shooters. We won't be able to shoot if it's already open.
Yeah, so before you do it, just so I can show them. So the ball is down here, but as we intake, the conveyor goes up to put in a new ball. If the ball gets stuck up here, then we get some issues with the shooter because it's stuck. So let's see. That's what makes the timing so vital. If you start the intake too early, then things might get stuck. So right now we're just turning around to get you guys a better view at home. But if this were a real competition, we would take the shortest and most efficient route.
So right now you see this first wall is at the top already, but the second wall is somewhere in the middle. So what I'm going to do is move this conveyor down so that we make a third wall.
So let's see it. So I believe this one they're going sideways, so watch the yellow balls as they go to the intake and you'll be able to see them go up the conveyor.
Alright, so now we have all three balls and we're ready to go to goal and shoot and score some points for our team. And let's try to make it back.
Oh god, let's see how this goes. So, as you can see, that was not lined up quite well enough. So they actually did get the height pretty perfect. So great job, guys. That was honestly better than I expected. But during competition, we are not just shooting blind. So one of the many things that I helped wire up on this robot and Natalia helped code is our line light. As we lovingly call it the Terminator light, it can be a bit blinding, but it serves a very important function of helping us aim. At competition, the goals have retroreflective tape like this. And can we demonstrate how the robot is able to follow the retroreflective tape quick? While we demonstrate this, I'm going to talk about some of the electronics of the robot. So, the line light is probably the fanciest bit of electrical work we have, just because it has pretty light and we all like things with pretty light. But that is not the main thing we do. In the back of the robot here, can you turn the robot a little bit to show the electrical board? Thank you. So, down here, we have our electrical board. So, it is made up of motor controllers, which, as you can maybe assume, control the motors. And they transfer information and electricity to the motors. These are very new motor controllers and motors called Spark Maxes and Needles. And they let us transfer information so you're able to be more precise with our motors. I believe now you're ready to show. So as we look, it follows around Brandon as long as it can see the retroreflective tape. So this, if it was on goal, is how we would aim our robot. The robot would find the tape all the goals and line up to it. The electronics of the robot are very important, and they serve as the bridge between mechanical and programming. Which, speaking of programming, Matt, what do you have to say?
As a programmer, I have to make sure that all of this actually does what it's supposed to do and works. So remember how in FRC you code using blocks. In Java, it's a little bit different. You use, instead of blocks, you type it in. We have to make sure that it, for example, Wi-Fi, we have to know what distance it is from the goal, and we have to do math to make sure that wherever we align, we're able to get into the goal.
As you may remember, as with the color sensors in FML, when we needed to recalibrate it, we also need to calibrate the lag length depending on the lighting that we're in. One quick thing before we go is how subgroups get around. Mechanical builds pretty statutes. Programming gives pretty statutes the instructions to move, so they can actually do things. But without electrical as the bridge in between them, the code does nothing, and the pretty statute does nothing. With one subgroup missing, the rest fall apart. And that is why teamwork is so important on this team.
Alright, so this is our robot. We're going to be working on a new one this upcoming year. So stick with us, and you guys can see our robot this upcoming year. So now we're going to bring in our team who worked on Engineering Awareness Night tonight.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Everybody put in a lot of effort to make sure that this worked. I know there was some difficulties throughout. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can really do about that, but things happen, so I'm happy everybody put in some really good work, and I think it ended up really well. This is our robot, this is our team, and our mentors can come on in. This is Mr. Caputo on my left or your right. This is Mr. Wellbecker. These are our mentors and our instructors, and they make this whole club operate. So,
I just want to say thank you for tuning in tonight. You guys worked really hard on everything you saw tonight. You also worked hard throughout the whole year. Various community service events, especially during build season here until 9 o'clock every night. We're done with the robot. So you guys keep watching our channel.
I also just want to give a big thank you to Amy, our wonderful camera lady. She is our head of PR and spirit, so if you follow us on our social medias, she is the one that gets out the post to tell you how we're doing. So thank you, Amy. Can you all get a round of applause for Amy? Thank you all for tuning in. This has been Engineering Awareness Night, and we'll see you next year. Bye, guys!
3 by 3!